And then I just have some notes that I want to say. Sorry, I'm kind of new at this. So if you can silence your phone, that'd be great.
Okay.
Let's see, check levels. Clock is ticking. So, you ready? From HYPEBEAST Radio, I'm Jeff Staple, and this is The Business of Hype, a show about creative entrepreneurs, brand builders, innovators, and the realities behind the dreams they've built. From 1997 to 2017, that's 2 decades, there has been one shopkeeper whose single-door operation has transcended the entire fashion and design world. A nod from her could make your brand a global overnight sensation. My previous guest, Hiroshi Fujiwara, once said, "Before Colette, was there any reason to really visit Paris?" And while the Eiffel Tower might argue that point, the shop at 213 Rue Saint Honoré was the epicenter of all things design. And Sarah Andelman, the co-founder of Colette, along with her mother, was the captain of the ship. Sarah is notoriously shy and rarely does interviews. For the first 10 or so years of Colette's operation, you could never find a photograph of Sarah. Some thought that when you got an email from sarah@colette.fr, you were actually getting an email from any number of dozens of representatives acting on behalf of Colette. After all, how could one single brain encompass the curation of couture fashion, streetwear, sneakers, books, technology, fragrances, home decor, art, food, drink, and more? People back in the day thought it wasn't possible. And then you meet Sarah and you soon realize, well, damn, it is possible. You just have to be as driven and focused as this petite, quiet woman standing in front of you. So after 20 years of ruling retail, with the world literally in the palm of her hands and the option to do anything she wanted to do, what does she do? She decides to close up shop and start all over again with a brand new career. Some would say this is insanity. Some would cry, "What happened? We thought it was all good. Is there a problem?" And some would wait and see what Sarah Andelman had up her sleeve next. So on a recent trip to Paris, I had the honor of sitting in her studio to try and find out exactly the reasons why. I wanted to sort of go back a little bit to the beginning, since we're sort of at the end at this point. Do you remember the first customer of Colette?
Oh, impossible to remember.
Really?
I have a terrible memory.
You don't remember the first transaction? I mean, it must have been like special, right?
I think we were just trying to make everything happen, the last minute things to finalize.
Yeah.
What I did recently is I asked if we could print what we sold on the first day. And this, I got the receipt that we sold some magazines like Self-Service, some Fury from Reebok, some G-Shock from Casio, some Blaze accessories. But no, I don't remember. I hope we had many customers this first day.
The first day, was there like a line outside?
Not at all. It was a very quiet, soft opening. We did an event for press and designers, etc. on March 18, and we opened on March 20. And there was lots of press because it was a new curious thing happening in Paris. It was not at all. It was certainly busy of people, a little curious, not a crowd like we have nowadays.
Right.
Yeah.
Was it the same exact space?
Yes.
Okay, so you had the 3 floors.
Three floors, the restaurant, water bar at the basement, the gallery where it has always been in the mezzanine.
Yeah.
And then we did some change along the years. When we opened, the beauty was at the ground floor with lots of design products, a little section of streetwear, and the first floor was already fashion for men and women. And below the gallery space was a little culture space with books, music, edition.
So you got that report recently. Do you remember the first day's total sales?
No. It was in francs.
Okay, wow.
Yes.
So it's not even euro.
Yes, that
okay.
can tell you how old I am. And I think
How many francs?
It was around maybe I could call our accounts guy maybe I would say something around 20,000 francs.
Which is equivalent to about what? I mean, it's hard to say because of inflation and everything, but
yeah, it's not much. Maybe I'm wrong. Because it would be around, I think it would be around 4,000 euro. It's very small.
Wow. It's like
very
one jacket.
Yeah, but the price were not what it is now. A Prada jacket was much less
Right.
expensive than what it is today. There
Yeah.
was a huge inflation for everything.
And you were mentioning you were selling magazines and
Yeah.
watches like
Yeah.
G-Shock, like
Yeah.
not high ticket items.
Yeah, beauty, lots of Kiehl's was a big first time in Paris, so we
Wow.
sold lots of Kiehl's products.
What were you doing the day before, like setting up for this?
Literally the day before.
Yeah.
We were in
Did
the
you
shop.
sleep?
I don't think much. So we had in the gallery, the first show we had in the gallery was with Purple magazine, curated by Olivier Zam, with already photographers like Thierry Richardson, Mark Borswick. So
Wow.
I'm sure we've installed this multi-artist show till the last minute.
Just going crazy the day
Yes,
before.
making sure we have, I don't know, the price well
Price tags.
visible. And,
You didn't have a shop before that, right?
No. I was just 20 years old. My mom always had shops, but before it was in the wholesale business. She was selling to retailers.
Okay.
And with this project, she gave us the buying part, and she was more involved in the management.
Yeah.
And no, I just finished my history of art studies at l'École du Louvre, some internship at Purple magazine and galleries, and it was anew. I was very young, very fresh, and I learned everything day by day after we opened.
So your job before then was an intern at Purple magazine and school.
At
You
school,
didn't have a full-time job.
no.
Okay. Wow. So your only paying job is Colette.
That's true.
Now we're embarking on your second job in your life. Are you ready
That's
for your
true.
second job now?
Yes, I'm ready.
You had good training, I
Yes,
think.
yes.
It's funny because I didn't know it was March is the birthday, same as Staple. So we have the same birth month and birth year, 1997 March, 20 years. It's a long time. Okay, so I want to ask you about the size of the store and filling with all this stuff, right? You are sort of like the creative artist behind it, but was being profitable like a concern of yours?
Never. Never. It was, we moved in this building. We live in this building.
Yeah.
Every day I go to school, my mom go to her shop, it was called Polo, and we see this empty space for a few months, and one day we asked to visit this empty space, and immediately, back in the days, there was Milan Vukmirovic helped us to develop the concept, and we immediately, from the first day we visited the space, we knew we wanted to bring together everything we like, from fashion, art, beauty, and we were so lucky that my mom sold her business, and this neighborhood was very quiet. It was not a trendy
Fancy stuff here, yeah.
Voilà. So it was a good time to buy this space.
The whole building was
No.
available.
The building was new when we moved. Our apartment they just renovated. But we booked our apartments on
the top of it.
On top of it.
Oh, okay.
And I don't know. 2 years after we booked our apartment, 3 years, we booked the space of Colette. And from the day we visit, it was not like we have a concept for a shop and we will visit many locations in Paris. It was this premises, this building, and from day one it was fashion at the top floor because there was this great light from outside, a little gallery space, the restaurant at the basement, even if it can be weird to have a restaurant with no daylight, but it was obvious for us, and this never changed.
Interesting. So this address is 213 Rue Saint Honoré, right? So this address really informed the business. It wasn't the other way around, like you said. Because most people say, I want to start a store, and then they look all around for real estate.
No.
You
it's really
created it to fit into this.
Exactly.
So this kind of answers my future question, which was, why didn't you do more Colettes?
Like you say, and I didn't really reply your previous question at profit. We didn't, from the day we signed the space to the day we opened, it was 9 months, like a baby. We didn't do any marketing, analyze, any studies. Will it be profitable? We just went to the brands we liked, as saying, we open a new shop in Paris, can we buy your products? And from day one, we had this idea to change the windows, the display every week, like a magazine, like I often said. And we are so much involved in renewing the offer, renewing the display, changing the exhibitions in the galleries that we don't even think to have another shop. And we really opened for the 213 Rue Saint Honoré when we don't see why we would open another shop worldwide.
Here's a first clue as to the peculiar nature of Sarah and Colette. Most businesses want to scale. If you've done one thing right, well, do more of it, right? Sarah didn't think of Colette as a world domination plan. She thought of a concept that could be housed inside this particular space. That's it. Nothing more, nothing less. I think the world is often fascinated by businesses that don't want it all. For example, why doesn't In-N-Out open in the East Coast? Why isn't North Face Purple Label available in the US? And why isn't there a Colette in Topeka, Kansas? The demand is there, feed it, right? Sarah's just wired differently. It's why her business has stayed the course for 20 years, providing consistent vision, service, and product. One time, well over 10 years ago, I was visiting Paris, and of course going to Colette was one of my first priorities. Unfortunately, I went on a Sunday, and I did not know that Colette was closed on Sundays. Every Sunday. So I peeked inside the windows, and what I saw was her team working diligently, changing up the entire store. And in fact, I saw Sarah herself and her mother, Colette, inside till the wee hours, adjusting hangers, steaming clothes, finessing art on the walls. The queen of fashion retail was folding clothes. I was in awe of her diligence and her commitment to the vision. Why did you decide to change the shop every week? Because that's crazy.
Yeah, that's crazy, but that was so important to continue to get excited and to continue to have customers coming back, to have this effect that each time you come it's different is essential for us.
Did you ever regret that decision? Did you ever think, maybe I should have done this monthly instead of weekly?
No, it's really no, we never regretted it. It was a way to keep also excited us, ourselves, our staff, and no, it was always fun to see the shop with, of course, some products we had and some new products every day, and to see the shop changing a little by little by little. When I see pictures from, of course, 20 years ago, or even 10 years ago, or even 2 months ago, I don't recognize the shop because it's like a live
like
animal,
a
living animal in a way.
Right. So yes. Did you mentioned that you curated for the store, not really thinking about the finance of it. Did you and your mother ever have conversations about like, hey, we need to make some more money or buy some things that are more popular, something like that? Or she just lets you totally have free will on it? Total
freedom. And that's crazy when you think about it.
Yeah.
Of course, after 6 months of spring, summer, or fall, winter, when you have the sale, you can see what we managed to sell well. But in a way, I didn't even took care of this because from one season to another, it's completely different. And sometimes we stopped to sell a very popular product that we had for a few months because they start to be a little everywhere. So it was a weird alchemy of always looking for the next product that will sell, of course, and that will represent the creativity or new...
Some buyers, they come to a sales meeting, right? And they have all these like Excel spreadsheets and computers and they have a calculator and they're sitting doing this. You never. You just buy what? Just based off of gut?
Instinct, yes.
For 20 years?
Yes. Yeah, absolutely.
My God, that is For those people, that's like the most frightening thing, right? But how about...
There is no rules. I would be interested to discuss with, I don't know how yourself you do this kind of Excel spreadsheet, but there is no rules.
But did you have a number that you knew?
No.
What?
No.
Really?
And the brands would always give me a budget because they will calculate from the season before. When you go to a big fashion brand, they know how much they want you to spend. And one season, I will buy 10 times more than their planned budget, so they will be happy. And one season, it will be less, and I have to explain the collection is not relevant enough. So... I will wait for next season to buy more.
Yeah. I wanted to ask you about that. When you see a brand and you start to lose a little bit of energy for it, how do you tell them that?
Sorry, let's see how it goes. And we are free, and it's also important for the brand to know that maybe they don't take the right direction. But the thing is, for Colette, maybe it's very good for another retailer, so that's true. That's
right. It's just not good for you, but
exactly.
Doesn't mean it's not good for the brand or whatever.
Exactly.
Yeah. Talk about now. You were buying all this time, but then you started. Obviously, it's very famous now when you start putting your logo and applying collaborations with these brands. Do you remember the first one?
Actually, no.
You don't remember the first one?
With our logo, I know I refused for a long time to just put our logo on a product because I thought it was not enough, not interesting. The two dots. I was totally against it, and I remember people saying, "Why can we have a Colette T-shirt?" And I said, "No, there is no T-shirt. Look at these great brands.
Right.
This is our offer." And then we started the T-shirt of the month, asking to some brands one T-shirt for 1 month.
Yeah.
But I'm not even 100% sure if I asked to have the name of Colette on it, if it was not just one exclusive T-shirt for us, or maybe yes, it would say for Colette, or just it would be blue. Or,
right.
But no, I can't tell you because we did many collaborations, like the Claude Kloski with Adidas. There is nowhere our Blue Dots logo.
Yeah.
And we did many collaborations like this. We introduced Married to the Mob to Reebok.
I didn't know that.
Yes, when they did the lips freestyle, it was.
That was you connecting?
Yes.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yes.
But you didn't put the blue dots on.
No.
You wanted Married to the Mob and Leah to be the artist.
Maybe Reebok asked me, can we do a Colette freestyle? And I would say, no, Colette is, we are not a designer ourselves. Let's ask this brand to do it.
I see. Okay. So, but something happened where you started to put the blue dots on.
Yes, but I don't remember when. I remember some collaboration like Timberland. I asked them to have blue stitches. Of course, with Nike, we did the one for women with the lace in a dégradé. And HYPEBEAST. I think it's if someone would manage, not me, to put all our collaboration in a chronological order, we will manage to see. But I think it's very, very slow from blue stitch, blue dots, or monochrome dots until we have. And still in the last one, I don't think we have just the logo.
Yeah.
Try to have
right. I felt the same way though when I had Reed Space. Like I felt like it didn't need to be a brand. People said like, oh, why don't you make Reed Space t-shirts? But I felt like, no, we have so many t-shirts. I don't need to make my own. So I get where you're coming from.
But then you come with this great pigeon.
Yeah. What's the maximum staff that you guys had? The whole team?
Maybe around 130 people.
Wow. And so that's including the sales floor and warehouse. And then, of course, e-com as well.
Exactly.
Wow.
That's the maximum, yes.
And on the back end of the Colette business, was it very structured? Like, did you have a HR team and everyone sort of had like a manager and a corporate kind of setting?
Not at all. The only, let's say it's like a son, and everybody speaks to my mom. She will really... reply all day long to the warehouse, to sell people, to the account department all day long.
Wow. It's insane. Did you ever feel like, in the beginning, how many staff did you have? Like in the very, very
50,
beginning?
maybe 50, maybe less than 50.
Yeah. So you doubled in size over that time? I'm sure back then you didn't have online sales, right?
No, very early we had colette.tm.fr before we could manage to have a .fr. And no, when we opened the e-commerce, it was a very small selection of products.
Not everything in the store.
Not yet.
Right.
Nobody, I think, had this.
Yeah.
It was just a small section. Then, of course, we expanded with Michael when we sold out.
Sold out, yeah.
And then we expanded to all the offer from the shop. It was so important to be able to touch any customer in the world who cannot come to Colette in Paris, and we wanted the website to represent everything we have.
Yeah.
And it was crazy, a lot of work, because it would include magazines, beauty, fashion for men and women, and design. There is no website with so many categories. It was really
right. And it's kind of a pain if someone in China wants to buy one magazine, and you have to figure out how to ship it to them, right?
But they do. Even recently, on the last days, some people would order one Saint Laurent sticker or matchboxes to ship to...
one sticker.
That's the way it is now.
Yeah. Would you say that you're slow or fast to adapt to new technologies? You know, e-com, Twitter, Instagram. Like, are you... right up on it?
In between. Not
Okay.
slow, not fast, I would say, at the right rate. I remember when the app started, I wanted the Colette app from day one.
Yeah.
But then I asked estimates, the process. We had maybe 10 version of Colette app which never came out, between the one with the music player. We had so many versions, and we never did a real one until we did one with Jordan, which was a very funny game to undress a mannequin. But it was I kept saying it has to be different from the website. It cannot be so expensive to do an app which would be just for fun.
Yeah.
So
there's like 10 versions of a Colette app that never have seen the light of day.
Exactly.
That you paid for, obviously. You had to pay
No,
for
but
it.
not even. I received the design, the estimate. No. I didn't go so far. I would not waste money like this. That's the thing. I think we have always been very careful how to spend our money. So Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, of course, we had them very early. And Instagram, there is the day before, the day after. It's a huge change, I think, for the communication of the shop, because even if we had blogs, we had different way to communicate, nobody realized the activity of the shop, how we had every day something new happening. And I think with Instagram, it was an easier way to follow.
With many of the people I talk to, Instagram is a real game changer in the way we actually do business. It's strange how Instagram was only invented about 8 years ago, and it didn't really catch fire until 5 years ago. And yet, most of us can barely remember a world without it. How did we tell stories before Instagram? Before social media? If I think back really hard, I remember spending way too much time and money inside of a Kinko's, printing postcards and flyers for manual distribution within my very own 5-mile radius. It's probably not a coincidence that as social media grew, Kinko's would barely survive and would need to merge with FedEx. So here Sarah lovingly recalls how Colette did it back in the day. So you said there was like a before and after with Instagram. Do you remember before social media, how would you promote, like you get a product in, how would you promote this before social media?
Well, that's funny you say that, because we had a few discussions to try to do something on Colette, and from the early years to the last. And I had nothing digital on the first 10 years. And I couldn't understand why. I know I changed hard drive. And suddenly when I moved to the office, I found all these Kodak boxes of pictures I would take myself with an analog camera of a new product, of a new exhibition that we would, copy, print and send to press.
Right.
I can't believe we did that. And when I see my pictures, they are yellow, they are blurry. That's crazy. But that's the way we did. We printed a little booklet every season, a little funny with a different... From day one, we wanted our identity to change all the time with the season, with the trend. So one look like a newspaper, like a copy of Women's Daily. One is like a Chinese menu of restaurant. So it was the logo.
Fun with each one.
The logo was orange, and every 6 months we would change the color of the logo. It went green, gray, until we stopped on blue. And the only way we communicated to press was to print this photo and to print this little booklet with the new designers, with a new exhibition. But it was so old school, it's crazy. The young kid, when they can't imagine what...
I know.
And we had fax.
Fax machine?
Yes.
You would fax these things to people?
We would use fax to communicate, to order to the brands.
Right. I mean, isn't it weird how if you go far back enough from digital, it's almost like life didn't exist. It's like a different... It's almost like the dinosaur era, you know?
Yeah.
It's pretty scary. Do you remember I know you're not a numbers person, but do you remember like the highest grossing day of ever in Colette? There is an existing day. Do you know what day it is?
No.
You have no idea?
No. You
must know this was the craziest day though. Like,
it's difficult to compare the day we sold the first very expensive fur coat from Valentino Fendi with the day we sold 3 Bamford watches, with the day we sold all the Nike. It's really impossible to.
It's not impossible. You could call someone and they could tell you.
Yes. I could ask.
But it's not because of one singular item that did it. You think?
No, it was always a nice combination of all the floors.
Yeah.
No. From the restaurant has always been very busy with line in the stairs for people for lunch. To it has always been a great balance between.
Okay, I got to ask you this now. Have you ever had a 0 day?
No.
Never.
No.
Oh, good for you. There's some stores that have 0 days.
Oh my god.
Okay, no 0 days for Colette. That's great. Okay, I just have to interrupt here as this is one of my favorite parts of the interview. I asked the hardest working woman in retail if she ever had to unexpectedly close Colette, because God knows she would never take a day off. It happened one time. And whose fault was it? I'll give you a hint. 2 words. Champagne, Poppy. Do you remember a day where, because you were always closed on Sunday to reset the store, but you were always open Monday through Saturday?
Yes.
Do you remember some times where like you unexpectedly, besides holidays, that like we have to close the store today for some drastic reason or something like that? Like
Drake. It happened with Drake.
Drake?
Yes.
What happened with Drake?
When he arrived, I didn't realize it was the school holidays. It was suddenly the street was filled, full of people.
Was he coming here for a performance or to shop or?
For the launch of his OVO.
Jordan or something?
No. His own collection.
Oh, his own collection. Okay. Which you've had many musicians, you've had many rappers come.
It was still early. I don't remember what year it was, but it was early.
Yeah. But definitely after BBC and Pharrell and all this stuff.
Yes. But when I look, that's funny, when I look the launch we did for Moncler and Pharrell, of course it was packed, but it was not crazy like it was the day with Drake was crazy.
Like sure. You were scared
we had crazy day with Tyler, and but the day Drake, we were totally unprepared, and you can see some funny video online on YouTube where he's at the first floor and the street is packed. The police had asked us to close the shop.
Wow.
Yeah, so that's only the day I think we had to close during the day 1 hour until it became more fluid.
And Drake was in the store?
Yeah, he was stuck inside the shop.
Did it get scary?
No.
Okay.
No.
But the store must have been packed with people too, and the block was packed.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a scary situation. By the way, you also live here, so it's like, it's your home too, so it's like kind of scary. You did do a couple of pop-ups though. Absolutely.
The first pop-up was with Comme des Garçons in their shop in Tokyo, Kotodori, in Aoyama. It was Colette meets Comme des Garçons, and a great experience for 6 months. And I would go every month and I would change little things. So with a brand like Comme des Garçons, I have the top respect. It was the first time I could see the limits of doing a pop-up shop. It was great because it was a good opportunity to develop tons of collaboration. And back in the days, I used these two little dogs, Caperino and Pepperon, that could go on a Macintosh coat, on a Cartier bag, and tons of little goodies. And
but you had to go to Japan every month.
I had to go to Japan every month, and because just to keep, we would charm the exhibitions. We did something with Tobias Wong, with Geneviève Gauclair. But it was a great experience. And maybe 5 years later, we did a pop-up with Gap in New York on Fifth Avenue, which was a great experience. And it was 1 month, but I regret it was not just 1 week, because again, it was sold out in 24, 48 hours, all the best products, and they had to continue.
And how many times did you go for that?
Just at the
first week
opening, there were some pictures. Or maybe it was 2 weeks and it was still too long. I don't remember.
You couldn't get more different than Comme des Garçons and then the Gap. When you did the Gap pop-up, did you get criticism from people?
No, I don't think so. I don't remember. So
no?
I don't think so.
Oh, no one said like, oh, this is too mass or something?
I love this project. I took all the classic from Gap, the jersey, the grey leather jersey that I asked for a bag with Alexis Mabi, or for shoes with Repetto. We did lots of artist t-shirts where it was Cadavre Exquis. We had a French artist who would do half of a drawing and an American artist who would continue the drawing. We had a Dashno to paint on some Gap trench, André, Olympia Le Tan. No, we had a great selection, a mix of products, and it was a very good response.
Do you remember a time where you got a lot of criticism for a decision you made?
Not really. Maybe it's my memory who keeps the good
you forget those things?
No.
Oh, okay, good. Selective memory.
Yes, I suppose.
One question I often get asked is, what was one of the hardest things I had to learn as an entrepreneur? And my answer is always the same: learning how to delegate. The only way Staple Pigeon, Staple Design Studio, Read Space, Extra Butter, Skillshare, the talks, these podcasts, and more can happen is because I've learned how to delegate. So here's another quirk about Sarah. She doesn't delegate, almost to the point where she admits it might be unhealthy. But she also cites that this might be the very reason why Colette meant what it did for the past 20 years. So the lesson learned here? Different strokes for different folks. I remember when you do the buying, right? You know, and this goes into the fact that you had to go to Comme des Garçons every month to like really be hands-on. And maybe that's when you realized you can't expand because you have to be there, right? Would you criticize yourself by saying you have problems delegating to people? Do you have trust issues with people?
No, I know this is not very healthy. This is not very. But I think that's why we survived 20 years. Yeah. I think we dedicate ourselves to the shop, and yes, my mom has been every Sunday cleaning herself the mannequin, and I kept telling her, come on, stop, I'm sure someone else can do it. Yeah. And she would say no, and the few times she would have someone to do it, she would notice it's not the same.
Right. And same for the buying for you.
Yes, we did never even experience the buying by someone else because we knew it's too difficult to explain why I want the blue or not the red. It's all something which is very subjective, very personal, and it's too.
There's no formula. You can't teach it necessarily.
Yeah. I can see it because I had my assistant who would, or we received products like proposals at the office, and someone would put them for me on the table, saying, "Okay, this is all." Not for us, and I would still look because it's in my way to make sure I don't miss something, and I can find something where my assistant would expect that I would refuse it for Colette, and on the other way around, some people would be sure this is for us, and I would say no, it's too similar to something we have, or the quality is not good, so nobody could really understand the way we select.
Right. And I remember at the height of, business for you even, I remember brands would work with you and they would email you, right? And then they would get a reply from you, but they would think like, I mean, it can't be Sarah actually writing these emails, you know? Like when they ask for payment, there'd be an email from Sarah saying, oh, your payment has been wired. But people would assume that like there's a whole army of people behind you and they're just using your name, but it's actually you.
Yes.
Scary. Do you remember how many emails a day you would be?
I still have right now, I have more than 100,000 unread, and I feel terrible.
But now you get to do select all delete.
No, I'm not like this. I have to check, and I just reply to nice desires. Sorry, and saying I hope maybe I will find a way to work.
What's your limit on when you reply? Like, will you reply to an email that's 6 months old?
Yes, even 2 years old. I don't know, but yes, I'm.
But that's nice because then they're like, oh wow, she actually got to it. She didn't just blow me off.
Exactly. No, if someone here thinks I did never reply to the email, it's just.
She's gonna get to it.
Exactly.
It's in the 100,000.
Exactly.
I remember when we used to show at like different trade shows like Capsule and like Agenda and stuff, and I remember when you walked the trade show, you would do it alone for the most part. You wouldn't have a whole crew with you. You would do it alone. And the funny thing is, I don't know if you've noticed this, but whenever you walk into a brand, all the other buyers would say like, Sarah walked into that brand. That brand must be something now. Like you were kind of like unwittingly like anointing people to be cool. That must be kind of annoying because you almost need a mask to walk into these brands, right?
Well, I didn't notice.
Well, I would notice you would walk into a brand, you would finish, you would walk out, and then all these buyers would walk into that brand. Yes.
Oh no, I didn't. Well, I know that at Colette, some other buyers would find some brands to contact.
Buy. Yeah.
And it's good for the brands.
Right.
Maybe,
But then you have to keep
exactly,
moving
but it's
on.
natural. Yeah.
But I think that was I was I was like, Sarah could make a living just doing this, just walking into people's brands. Do you know what a self-fulfilling prophecy is? Self-fulfilling prophecy.
Sure, tell me.
So I'll tell you what it means. Like, let's say you have a chef who's trying to make food, right? And he's a cook, and then he's developing his skill, and he's getting better and better and better. And then eventually he wins a Michelin star and a James Beard Award. And then it becomes like anything that chef does is genius. Whether it's actually good or bad, it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy, right? So if to take that analogy and apply it to what your business is, you did buying, did selecting, actually chose. But then eventually, Colette got to a point where anything that Colette did or touched was considered great. Do you remember when that switch happened? Or is it even cognizant in your head that happened?
It's really not something we want to happen. It's something we always woke up in the morning and looking around us like if we are just open since one day. It was important to always keep a fresh eye, not assume that because we select it will be successful, not assume anything. So that's true that at one point maybe some people will consider this because it's at Colette, it's good, but we never wanted to be. It's just a selection. It's just what we like, but you have to make your own choice.
You want it to keep working.
Yes.
Yeah. Because it could get dangerous if you just start thinking you're an influencer.
No.
I guess that's what we're talking about is influence, right?
No. I understood. At some point, when people ask you, but I always said I don't know what's the trend of tomorrow. I see what I see right now, and I can select what I think is interesting because it's new. But
you never wanted to become that sort of like prophecy influencer type. Right?
No. Maybe I have it in me somewhere, but it's not something I wanted to
force out.
Assume because it's too pretentious.
Right.
It's clear Sarah doesn't work off research. She doesn't go off the math, nor does she rest on the laurels of her very influential reputation. Sarah works off pure gut instinct. She's a rare breed. And in this day and age of analytical data of likes, views, and comments, Sarah is a natural maestro. This, of course, then led to the massive success at the Colette store, where the crowds on any given day literally resembled that of a theme park. I wanted to ask Sarah if she ever thought the brand got too successful.
No, it's exciting. No, it's
Really?
make me happy. It's the energy we wanted to have at Colette.
Yeah.
So no, and I love that it's all kind of people in the shop, from a family to a streetwear guy to a doctor or a lawyer. It was this mix which was always important for us,
Yeah.
and we loved its energy.
So you didn't care that it was growing beyond the original core customer. That was
We
that
never
was
had a
intent.
core customer. We always had to touch.
Well, the core. Let's say the core customer, whether you identified it or not, was probably someone who was into design, into creativity, right? You didn't assume that a doctor would be a Colette customer in the first year.
We never saw this way. We
Really?
always
You
thought
wanted to be everyone.
everybody. And I love someone who compared to the Tintin readers, from 7 years old to 19 years
Yeah.
old. And from the beginning, we actually saw someone like working at the coffee opposite the street, coming just to buy a little pencil or a little gadget,
Mm-hmm.
and someone working in the beauty industry to buy fashion. It was always never wanted to close to only one kind of customer.
Oh, okay. So when it got crazy and for everyone,
Happy.
it fit the dream. Okay, so where do we shop in Paris now?
I think we shop online. That's the thing.
Was that part of the reason for? Was online part of the reason?
No. The reason really is my mom, who wants to take some time off, and it cannot work without her. It's true that it's also in the fashion industry very frustrating to work with the brands for the deliveries, to receive them in time before Fashion Week, etc. It's really get me sick to spend so much time working on a great selection, working on windows, and then when it's a busy days like now, we don't receive. They will deliver in 2 weeks or 3 weeks, and that's something we've had the problem for years,
yeah.
and it's really something annoying. But online, we developed our own e-shop business very well in the last years. Actually, even too much. The last months, we were impossible to ship the orders we received every day. We got really late, and on the last months, we started to receive complaints of clients that we had, and still now we are dealing with the last.
Is the online store still open?
No, but it was open till December 2009.
But you're still shipping people?
No, we
Okay.
shipped everything, but now some people received and want to return, or we didn't ship. Voilà, so we are still have some last
Some things to take care of.
Yes. And
So you should have gotten your order by now. By the time you hear
but
this
it's true,
podcast,
there is a turning point in retail in general, between e-commerce, between the brands opening their own shops.
Yeah.
So do they really need us? They say yes, but I don't know. And
did the fast fashion have anything to do with it?
no, that was something we were part of it. What do you call fast fashion?
H&M, Zara.
No. I thought it was also the see now, buy now, which we took. So no, I think there was always customers for
Everything, yeah.
everything. But yeah, we
Right.
wanted to turn the page when it's still going well.
Being a sneakerhead myself, I definitely wanted to take this opportunity to ask a quote-unquote buyer about their opinion on sneaker culture right now. And not just any buyer, possibly the greatest buyer of all time. So sneaker brands, listen up.
How about the speed of the world? Did that have an effect?
That's
on it?
crazy. No, that's true. That's going quicker and quicker.
Yeah.
And in a way, since we had the shop, the rhythm of the shop was weekly. We loved it when a designer would have 6 capsule, 8 capsule, 10 capsule. I think it was part of the system. And in the sneaker world, you know how it is. That
Yeah.
right now you have to launch 5.
Multiple times a week.
Voilà. And,
Yeah. But
on
when
the
you
same
started,
day.
Nike would drop a special shoe maybe 6 times a year.
Yeah, exactly. And
Now
even,
it's literally 6 times a week almost.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's great, that's good, but how long will it be like this? How much can people spend every week. So
Right.
there will be, I think, a time with when I see these young kids who are really into it, they are less than 15.
Yeah.
So what will be the next things they are into in 3-4 years? They
Yeah.
cannot be excited like this, I think, forever, no? But it's difficult to say a brand. You have to slow down, and they will say, but yes, only if the other brands slow down, because you cannot be suddenly the one.
I have to grow my business. I have to grow my company.
Yeah. I think there is still a lot of possibilities to explore, and I think as long as they can elevate their customers, give them culture, find a way to make it more interesting than just a new colorway or a new.
Do you think they have to hit the reset button eventually on these collaborations and special projects?
I think there is still
There's still room to grow.
Yeah.
Okay. I wonder about that all the time. I think about these kids and like they're buying, like 50 collabs a year, right, on these special projects. Well, how can that grow to be 100 collabs?
No, but it can be other kind of collab, I think. I'm pretty sure. They need to have a meaning, for sure.
A story, yeah. Okay, so tell us what is Just an Idea.
Just an Idea is...
This is your next project.
This is my new company.
Your new job, your second job.
Exactly. And it will be like to help different brands, company or artists to develop special projects. And it can be very different kind of missions.
So someone has like a bit of a problem, maybe, and then they need some help fixing the problem.
Yes.
Okay. Do you already have employees?
Yes.
Oh, really? So it's quite far along.
No, I just start, and
Okay.
I'm very excited, and it will take a little of time, and that's the nice thing about it. It's to take time to really develop, and to make it interesting in this world going so fast, like you said. But
do you think this is, if you could predict, is this the final career for you, or this is just the next chapter?
This I haven't think about it. I think it's my new second life. I think most people have 3 lives.
That's what they say.
This is my second one.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, Jeff.
Yeah.
Merci beaucoup for listening to this episode. You can find out more about the show or listen to past episodes at hypebeast.com/radio. You can subscribe to us wherever you listen to podcasts. I use Overcast. And you could reach out to me on Twitter at Jeff Staple. Check us out on the web at businessofhype.com, and you can email any questions to us, questions@businessofhype.com. The Business of Hype is directed by Daniel Navetta. It's edited and produced by Bright Young Things. You could check them out at byt.nyc. Engineering was done by Patrick Morris, and this was recorded at Sibling Rivalry Studio in New York City and on location in Paris, France. I'm Jeff Staple, and you've been listening to The Business of Hype on HYPEBEAST Radio.